One in five suffer.
Erase the stigma.
Brain difference is not a crime.
Mental health isn't just your problem.
It's our problem.
And now, Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave.
Welcome to Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave.
Yes, that's Marla and I'm Dave. We have a great show planned for you guys today, as usual. But we want to remind you right at the beginning to text the word GIVE, G-I-V-E, to 818-698-1021 and support our A Dollar Today Keeps the Stigma Away campaign. Today we welcome back Destiny Champion to the show. Woo! Yes. Thank you for that applause.
I'm super excited, by the way. I really am.
For those of you that didn't get a chance to see Destiny's first appearance on our show, or you just need a refresher, Destiny is a licensed therapist and owner of the Maple Counseling Center right here in Southern California. She grew up in Germany where feelings weren't a topic of discussion, but she has since then become a specialist when it comes to feelings, and she has helped us, Marla and I, that is, tremendously with her last visit. And so today we're having her back and see what she can do with us this go round. Today we're going to discuss having a mentally ill child and how that can affect other members of the family, whether it be the husband, the wife, the other family members. Destiny's going to help us deal with this issue. Don't move.
Destiny is going to be sure that I understand how not to be completely devastated and exhausted. Hear what she has to tell me. Don't move.
She has her hands full. We'll be right back.
Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave and NAMI San Fernando Valley believe it doesn't take much to make life a little better for our neighbors, coworkers, friends, our family members, even our children who suffer with mental illness. When you support our A Dollar Today Keeps the Stigma Away campaign, you are doing your part to erase the stigma surrounding mental illness. For just $1 today, or $1 a day for 1 week, just $7, we can look forward to a future that does not include the unfortunate and uncomfortable stares, bullying, and the subsequent isolation that our loved ones who suffer with brain differences deal with. Text the word GIVE, that's G-I-V-E, to 818-698-1021 to donate. A Dollar Today Keeps the Stigma Away. Brought to you by Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave and NAMI San Fernando Valley.
As promised, we are back with Destiny Champion.
Destiny, welcome back. Hold on one second, because we can't.
We're having a little technical difficulty there with your sound.
There you go.
Are you there?
Hey, can you hear me?
Now we can hear you.
Oh, yes. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you. I was just going to say, it's always funny the way you guys introduce me, because I think, who the heck are you talking about?
Hilarious. Well, let me introduce you my way. You, to date, as many wonderful guests as we have had on this show, had such a personal impact on me because you gave me permission to speak on what I feel as a mother facing the trials of a child that you love more than you love yourself, but that child grows up and makes a decision, or even if it's involuntary, their behavior, their choices that impact you. And you sat here and I was in tears because I felt like, I'm always struggling to say and do the right things. I want to say what represents my heart, but at the same time, I do withhold the depth of my frustration and anger at a situation. And when you sat here, I was like, oh my goodness. Yes. It was impactful to this day for me. So thank you for joining us again.
And vice versa. I really felt moved by you understanding, because it is such a stigma. And the last time I was on the show was like my coming out, party. Because I keep this a secret. It's shameful. I never know when to mention it. And when you came over and gave me a hug, that was extremely impactful on me. Because here was you're smart, you're beautiful, you're accomplished, and you're going through the same hell as I am. So
right.
I also found it.
Yeah, it's a hell that we wish that would would become a heaven for all of us, because it is absolutely devastating and tragic, as we are now fully engrossed in tragic a tragic reality with our son, who was arrested on Sunday. And
Oh,
yeah.
I'm so sorry. to hear
yeah,
that.
so we looked forward to, this was a perfect day for you to return to our show, because we kind of don't want to put any pressure on you, but we need you, girl.
Well, that was interesting. I'm sorry, but when I was watching you guys, that's what actually gave me the idea for this show. Because as I walked away too, I was wondering, how did your guys' marriage survive and mine ended? Right? Because we're kind of going through the same hardships, but
Right.
you guys are going strong, and my marriage ended.
Right.
And that made me think of this, yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if you're interviewing us or we're just having the conversation, because, one of the things that we appreciate, like Marla was saying about speaking with you, is even though you're a licensed professional, you have similar experiences to our experiences. And so, it's a more of an empathetic interaction versus a sympathetic, someone giving you some information that you're not sure that they've actually had to live through themselves. And so, I tell people all the time, Destiny, a lot of my friends, they were like, man, how do you stay married? And I was like, well, to be honest, in my mind, I've been divorced about 9 times. And it just so happens that I think, because of what I do for a living, and which also puts stress on the relationship, but because I leave from time to time, many times when it's about to hit the fan, and I'm thinking that either one of us probably can't take it another second. That saying about absence makes the heart grow fonder. I'm not sure if that's true, but it makes the pain less tangible over time, if that makes any sense.
Well, it allows it to dissipate.
Yeah.
What a lot of couples do that we teach not to do is to stay together. This whole thing, you can't go to sleep angry, is such bull.
Yeah. Half the time you can't not.
Yeah, and you need that time apart to do your own processing and to come up with your own answers and see where you're at. Instead of relying to the other person to make you feel better, it is your responsibility to figure out what you need.
Right.
If both people take responsibility and both people have empathy for the other, it can work.
Yeah.
But that's the only way it can work.
And I think when you say, how do we do it, I think that's a big part of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
this is not really a show of reveals, but I can tell you that I've learned in this stressful reality. What I've learned about myself is that more about who I am than I ever thought that I was. And when I say that, I realize now that I am truly committed to the rhythm or to the truth of Marla. And those truths have been revealed to me in stress. And so I'm more of a person who really truly feels like I don't know how to leave somebody on the battlefield. I don't know when to quit. I want to quit because I feel like that fighting the way that I've been fighting for as long as I've been fighting is actually beginning to take its physical toll. I've got, health issues and things that are there. So I'm not deluded into think, oh, I'm so strong, but I'm so determined. I'm so committed. These are things I can own about the eye of Marla. But a lot of them, I can only go so far. So I literally feel like I didn't recognize until in the last 5 years that I didn't realize that I was on a chain in a yard. And I didn't until I got to the end. I thought I was running free until what the hell is this? And I'm stuck in this yard. Is how I kind of feel. I didn't think that I was stuck in a yard, but I'm stuck in a yard. And so that's the truth that I'll just say. And for me, I just see the benefit for everybody around me that has access to me, not necessarily the other way around, but I'm committed. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I said yes in the beginning to let everybody live. Like, you know, he's got his purpose, and I married him in the world of music. And so, you know, I don't have a resentment toward his career and his purpose, but now I'm feeling completely like a shell, because what I didn't know is that I was going to have this intensity and this challenge with all the people out. And let me just throw this out here, because I know it's going to matter to somebody. Destiny, I now say this. There's my core 4, which is 4 people that I was born into a family, and there's my created 5. That makes 9. And of those 9, there's only 4 within that 9 that are brain balanced. Dave being 1, my mom being 1, my daughter being 1, and my being the other. Of 9 that are closest to my vest, that I can actually, you know, successfully relate and interact with without having to dance around the brain differences and the emotional personality disorders. And I can't tell you, I'm at a loss. I mean, I really am. And I'm saying this because, my thing now is somebody's got to hear somebody. This is helping somebody. So you asked me that question about marriage, and that's how I actually feel about the scenario. So I'll let you go.
No, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about the other night. So my daughter came home with her boyfriend. You know, they're sleeping in a car. And they came home to take a shower. They came to my house to take a shower, and it was getting late, and I had to ask them to leave. And as I'm watching her walk out the door, I realized there was a piece of me that dies every time I watch her walk out the door. Because we had an incident up here. I had her in my place trying to detox, and then she's walking into the night rather than going into sober living. And I just stood there, and there was just a piece of me. I realized there was this little crack. I could almost hear it. And it was like, there's a piece of me that dies every time I don't know where she's at. Every time I go weeks without hearing from her. Every time then she shows up and says how much she loves me and how much she wants to be with me, and then disappears again. And so that shallowness, or that, what did you say? That hollowness?
It's hollow.
Hollow. It's part of that. It's like, because the rest of my life is great, right? Everything's fulfilled. But I think that's the key too. When we're going through this, we have to have other things to fulfill our cup. We have to have things to fulfill our cup. So for me, it's nature, meditating, and we'll pick up on that when we come back.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up some of those other things, because, and I'm glad you brought up your own experience, because, like I said at the beginning, that's what helps us relate to the information that you give us. And we appreciate you, and we'll dig a little deeper when we come back.
It's time for the Mental Health Minute with Marla and Dave.
Because of our advocacy when it comes to mental illness and mental health, I read a lot of material on this subject. And recently I came across something that really resonated with me. Mental Health America's campaign called Before Stage 4.
So I'm so sorry, Dave. When we think about cancer, heart disease, or diabetes, we don't wait years to treat them. We start way before stage 4. According to Mental Health America, we begin with prevention. And when people are in the first stage of those diseases and have a persistent cough, high blood pressure, or high blood sugar, we try immediately to reverse these symptoms.
These early symptoms might not ever become serious, like a cough. They often go away on their own, but when they do not go away, it typically takes up to 10 years from the time those symptoms first appear until someone gets a correct diagnosis and proper treatment.
This means that by ignoring them, we lose 10 years in which we could intervene in order to change people's lives for the better. Intervening as early as possible helps keep people connected to their families and to their communities.
I'm sure you'll agree with us that addressing mental health issues before stage 4 is a far superior option to all too common revolving door of incarceration, hospitalization, and homelessness.
I'm sure that everybody will agree, and that this message is brought to you by Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave.
David is a thinker. I never do anything without thinking about it first. Marla is a feeler.
I basically wear my personality on my sleeve.
But when Marla and Dave get together, it's like a match dancing with a firecracker.
All right, we can't wait to get back.
All right, Destiny, like I said, we're back. One thing that came to my mind as you mentioned before we started talking about our particular issues and how we've been dealing, you made the comparison to where your first relationship ended and ours did not. But I wonder, do you feel the same could be possible for future relationships for you?
Well, my marriage to my daughter's dad ended because he's the one that has the mental health issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's genetically passed on. My second husband is also in the field the same way as I am. He's a great guy, but he was blaming me for a lot of what we were going through with the girls when they were teenagers. He felt if I would have been more consistent in the chores, if I would have been more consistent, that I could have. I don't know how he thought I could have helped the mental health issue. Like with Natasha, every cop knew me in the neighborhood. I mean, it wasn't like I didn't try. It wasn't like I was eating, sitting on the couch eating bonbons. But because of him blaming me and then feeling disrespected by me when I wasn't following up the way he wanted me to, and this is no blame on him. I did my part too.
Right.
He felt disrespected and then pulled out of the family. So we didn't spend any time together the last 10 years of our marriage at all. But then interestingly enough, our son comes along. Him and I have a son, same parenting, and this kid is flourishing. Like he's in Santa Cruz, he's looking at grad schools. I've never had to discipline this child ever, right? So then it was like, well, maybe if you would have been more consistent, there wouldn't have been any difference. But it was too late. I felt so hurt and unsupported and alone. I couldn't go back. So I always go back to if both people take responsibility and have empathy for the other person's experience, everything can be healed. But not everyone is able to do that.
I think one of the edges that you pointed on something, and and I'm just gonna briefly state this, but then I want to get back to what you were saying about finding something else to fulfill you. That is a passion that you enjoy. But I will give David and I this truth of credit. The truth of credit is there's always been an enormous amount of acceptance about who the other one is fully. A lot of the times, especially in the crisis that our children have had, he's not handled things in the way that I felt was best. But I had to accept that that's who he is. And I didn't handle them, I'm sure, maybe in the way that he would have handled them. He had to accept that that's who I am, and both of us agreed that at the bottom we have the same goal and the same love for our children. Fact.
That's the key right there. You left room for each other instead of criticized each other. My husband and I turned on one another.
Right.
There was no room for differences. My way is the correct way, and if you're not doing this way, you're disrespecting me, so therefore.
Right.
What you just said was so important, is leaving room for each other's differences, the way you go about it, but having that shared goal, that shared value. My husband and I never got to a shared value or a shared goal. So that makes a huge, huge difference.
And I think one of the other things that Marla and I are pretty good at, and it was weird how we stumbled on this, because we have friends that don't seem to make the separation between their marriage and their friendship. Marla and I have been able to separate a lot of times our marriage and our friendship. We play together and we have a lot of fun together. When we played tennis before Marla's injury, we played tennis every day, even when we were upset. Half the time between changeover from, one side to the other, we're sitting down discussing the issues. and then we go and play some more tennis, and then we have some more discussion. Or nowadays we play pickleball, and I say that we play well together as friends. I say that, and I think that is also one of our a feather in our caps, so to speak.
So Destiny, let's shift for a minute, because before we went to the break, you were mentioning that there's also it's the fulfillment issue.
Yes, and that's part of the responsibility of each person. If you don't take responsibility for your own happiness, for your own fulfillment, you're going to end up blaming the other for being unhappy. Right? Because if I'm not happy, it must be your fault. Instead of like, I'm not happy, what do I need to do for myself to get myself, we talk about states. A state is that emotional place you're at. It can be a happy state, a joyful state, a depressed state, a miserable state, whatever it is. But your state at the end of the day is your responsibility. It's not your partner's responsibility. It's not your children's responsibility. It is not Natasha's job to make me happy.
Right.
So when I'm unhappy, like 2 nights ago when she was walking out of my house and I cried and my niece tried to comfort me, by the morning time, it's like, okay, what am I going to do today to get myself in the state that I want to be in, which is a positive state? I'm not a negative person. I don't want to become negative because negative things are happening around me.
Well, when you say that, and every time I hear advice like that, the first thing that comes to my mind is, that sounds right. But what do you do? Because in the moment, that doesn't actually feel right, if that makes any sense. I do feel like sometimes my unhappiness is because of either the way Marla reacted to something or the way that she said something to me. I might have taken it one way or the other. I'm not sure, but it does feel like it's the other person's fault. How do you justify those two scenarios?
Because it's the same thing. So in cognitive therapy, we believe that the thinking creates the feeling. So you even said, I thought maybe she didn't do it right. It's those thoughts that are creating your feelings, that are creating the state. Right? It's just as simple and as difficult as that. Sometimes we want to be miserable. Sometimes we want to be angry at the person, but it all comes back to our thoughts. Asking ourselves, becoming mindful, because most of us are not mindful 80% of the time. What am I thinking right now? Is this a thought that's serving me or hindering me? Do I want to keep this thought? Yeah, right now I just want to be in a pissy mood and I want to just keep this thought cool. But now I'm responsible for the state I'm in. Also cool. I don't always want to be happy. Sometimes I want to be freaking miserable. But I know it's mine. It's mine. It's my thoughts, and only I control my thoughts. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. A million times over.
Like I said, we've even given that advice, but I do recognize that there are times when we know it sounds right, but many times that it doesn't feel right, if that makes any sense.
Right. Well, the thoughts can be sticky, right? So we start ruminating. So the average person has 60,000 thoughts a day, approximately. 80% are the same thoughts over and over again, and 90% of those are negative. That's the average thinking. We're hardwired to think negatively. They're sticky.
Say that stat again, Destiny. Go back.
The average is 60,000 thoughts a day. 80% of those 60,000 thoughts are the same thoughts over and over and over again. Repetitive. And 90% of those are negative.
Wow.
So mindfulness is about, what am I thinking right now? And do I want to keep doing this thought, or am I going to exchange it for something else? And it's not like, oh, yay, my daughter's homeless and mentally ill. It's nothing like that.
No, but it's a redirection.
It's a redirection. It's a thought interruption, right? Because I can stay in that train all day and all night, and all that it happens is I'm tortured. Right. It doesn't change her situation. It doesn't help her. So one of the things I like to ask myself is if worrying about this, thinking about this would help her, it would be worthwhile.
All right. That's amazing information, and we're going to take that. Destiny, we'll be right back.
Okay.
All right. That music lets us know that it's poll time. Right now, I think Marla is doing the Alcaraz pole dance. For those of you, that's a U.S.
If you're a tennis fan,
US Open.
it looks like this. Destiny
Anyway,
made an incredible point, and all I have to say is this.
So Marla, what was our poll question last week?
Last week, the poll question, Destiny, listen up. You know, we always know we ask our guests. Last week, we asked which one of these mental health conditions is the main cause of disability worldwide? A, dementia, B, narcissism, or C, depression?
Last week, our guests were the Knights, and I think that she guessed it correctly.
Well, let's see what Destiny has to say.
So
No
again,
pressure.
the question is, which one of these mental health conditions is the main cause of disability worldwide? Dementia, narcissism, or depression?
It's depression hands down, because it also causes a lot of accidents and health issues and everything else. So a lot of things lead actually back to depression.
Well, Destiny, you've been my hero since the day I met you, and so today you're continuing to be the shining star. But let's see if you can keep this up, Destiny. Let's see how we can keep our relationship going. Here we go. How many U.S. adults suffering with mental illness do not receive treatment each year? 5.8 million, 19.3 million, or 27 million? Let me repeat it again. How many U.S. adults suffering with mental illness do not receive treatment each year? 5.8 million, 19.3 million, or 27 million?
I would go straight for the 27 million, because the thing is, there's still a lot of stigma. More and more people are coming in, but for every person that comes in, I would guess at least 25 are not.
Wow.
Well, you know what? As a licensed professional, we would usually defer to what you're saying, but we can't give the actual answer until next week. But you got the first one correct, so
you know
chances
what, Destiny?
are,
I would say that your destiny is always looking good, but we'll see next week.
You guys remember to text the word GIVE, GIVE, to 818-698-1021 and support our $1 Today Keeps the Stigma Away campaign. Back to the show.
We're back. We are back. Man, what a statistic you gave us before the break.
That means that we
thoughts.
have about 45,000 negative thoughts that are just ruining our day every day, all day long.
I recognize it, and I'm telling you when every time you give me these nuggets that are epiphanies, and I'm all about consciousness. I think that consciousness into the acceptance of what is has been the tool, along with God Himself, that has kept me alive in the amount of stress that we're dealing with two adult children who suffer the way that they do.
Well, that's
You
now.
have to go into the moment. You have to, because in the moment, everything is fine. Even your son, what happened with your son, in this moment, he's fine. Your daughter is fine. In this moment, as far as I know, my daughter is fine. It's our thinking and our imagination that jumps into the future of what's going to happen that really ruins our day.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like kind of where I was going. That sounds like a specific tool to do better at that. Especially when you said, our happiness, our state of mind, our state of being is really our own individual responsibility. And it sounds like you're saying something, that I heard all my life growing up, is that you're responsible for your own happiness. But give us some tools that we can use, that we can, in those moments where we can't see the difference between it. I know it should be my responsibility, but it sure feels like it's the other person's fault.
Sure. So let me give you what I always give everybody, because I want to back it up for a minute.
Okay.
I want people to think of things like on a scale from 1 to 10. This is what I teach all my therapists. From 1 to 10. 10, you're blowing your gasket, you're crying, you can't get out of it, you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
Under a 5 is in your control still, right? So something happens and you get upset and you may become a 5, and you can do all the techniques and bring yourself down.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're walking around tense and upset at a 6, at a 7, the slightest thing will happen and you'll go off to an 8, and your brain is literally hijacked and no tool will work. Right? So really what you want to do is always monitor yourself. Where am I now? So I have a rule. I wake up in the morning and I immediately check in with myself. Where am I right now on the anxiety scale? Because I carry a lot of anxiety about, I always say I'm anxious by nature. But anyway, I check in. Okay, what do I need to do right now? Do I need to meditate before I get out of bed? Do I need to take 3 deep breaths to reset my brain? Do I, what do I need right now? What am I telling myself right now? Right? Because sometimes I can avoid during the day what's happening with my daughter, but it'll play itself out at night, and I wake up super upset. So again, I check in with myself. Where am I on the scale right now? I'm a 6. Oh, damn, I can't leave my room. I cannot leave my room at 6 because something happens and I'll blow my casket. So what do I need to do this moment? Okay, let me check in what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, what a bitch she is. Yeah, how could she do this to me? She can do this to me. I haven't heard from her for 2 weeks again. I've begged her. I've pleaded with her. I've sent her money, like anything, right? I'm sitting there. How can you be so evil to me? Okay, stop. That thought isn't going to serve me. Plus, where's the evidence she's evil? Where's the evidence she's doing it on purpose? That's another cognitive tool. Asking yourself, where's the evidence?
Where's the proof?
Okay, there is no evidence. Can I have empathy for her? Can I get into her place right now? There's a new book out by Rishin. He owns Mind Valley. It's the 6-phase meditation. And one of the phases is forgiveness. So you go into that person's space and you see the world through them. Okay, she's sleeping in a car. She's on drugs. Her moods are all over the place. Is she doing this on purpose to me? Can I know that for sure? You know what? I can't. So right there, my state shifts. Right? Because there is no evidence that she's doing this on purpose. Do I wish she wasn't doing it? Oh, my God, yeah. But wishing she wasn't doing it is a different state than she's doing this on purpose.
Yes.
Right? So I'm on the scale. So now I'm down to a 3. Okay, I'm safe to leave my room. Then something happens again. Something reminds me of her, or she calls me for money, or whatever it is. Bam, I'm at a 5 or 6 again. And I go through the process again. And for each person, they have to find what helps. So number 1, everybody has to learn how to diaphragm breathe. Diaphragm breathing. So if I look at Marla right now, Marla, sweetheart, you haven't taken a breath since the show started. You're doing chest breathing, which puts you biologically into a reptile brain.
And you know what's crazy, Destiny? I was a trainer for years, and I know all about diaphragmatic breathing.
And were you
just
breathing?
Don't do it. No.
There you go. Right? And I can just see that. So that's number 1. You always have to go back to your breathing. What's my breathing doing right now? Because your breathing talks to your brain of what it needs. Right? So if a saber-toothed tiger walks in here right now, 3 of us will hold our breath. We'll lose some of our blood flow here. Yeah, we'll lose the blood flow here and in our stomach. So we have IBS symptoms, and we can't concentrate. We forget where everything is. We have accidents like falling downstairs, which I've done quite a few times, right? Because without our full brain loaded with blood, we can't think properly.
Destiny, you're all up in my gut. I have IBS. Thank you for that.
Of course you do, because you're not breathing. It's natural.
Well, right? Destiny, unfortunately, we're about to run out of time. So, I mean,
I have so much more to say.
I know that you do. It looks like round 3 is coming up the corner, running around the corner.
You know what you want to say? Let me help you, Destiny. Damn you, Dave, and your short ass show. There you go. That's for you, Destiny.
Blame me, Destiny. I'm kind of used to it.
Hopefully this was somewhat useful.
No, it definitely was. And how many more other tools do you have yet to share?
I have no idea. I just pull them up as we go along.
Okay, well, we promise.
What I know.
We promise that we will have you back, because I think
she needs to be a regular spot
absolutely here. Because you help us so much every time you come on the show.
We need to have you at least once every month, or if not 6 weeks. And you and I have a date promise. Now I'm helping my dad, so I'm traveling back and forth to Florida. But hopefully I'll be back here at the latter part of October, and I'm taking you up on that. Yes, I'm holding my Destiny hang ticket, and I would like to cash it in seriously.
Well, and since we're running short on time, Destiny, give us your final piece of advice for this particular issue dealing with blame.
Keep yourself in the best state possible. There is no blame when you're in your own best state. So look at your breathing and look at your thinking. if you don't do anything else for yourself, look at your breathing and look at your thinking.
Well, Destiny, thank you so much.
Thank you for reminding me to breathe. I'll do it.
And thank you for reminding us that our own state of being is really our own responsibility. And like anything else in life, to be successful, it's going to take some work. So we appreciate you. And we again, we don't just say it. We have to have you back. Thank you so much, Destiny.
I enjoy you guys, so anytime.
All right. So you guys, thank you, Destiny. And remember, next week we'll have Craig Smith and Will Sterling. They're coming back. Very funny guys.
And tune in, Destiny. Don't forget to find out whether you're the genius that I know you to be.
I would not like to know that also, yes.
See you guys next week.
See you later.